All right, guys, and we are live. Look at that. Started right at 9 p.m. Eastern time sharp. Okay, it's a Christmas miracle. We actually started a stream on time. Can you believe it? Props to that. Okay, look at this. Look at this. We're improving in so many regards. The streams under Project 2025. The trains run on time. The streams run on time. Everything's doing great. The $5 footlong is back at Subway. Rumors are saying, sources are saying. So, anyways, guys, welcome everyone to tonight's stream. Like I've been saying, we're going to do this probably every Tuesday and Thursday night. Ryan is not here with us right now. He will be with us joining again next week. We may be also adding in like a contributor panel so we can go back and forth. I think that'll be fun. But on tonight's episode of, I don't know, we don't have a name for this yet, the nightly stream, a couple of stories here for you, and then we will talk to the chat, etc. Firstly, RFK Jr. has been named to the Secretary of HHS, right? The Health and Human Services Division of the government. What do we think of it? Will he actually get confirmed by the Senate? This is an interesting question we'll have to address. So we'll talk about RFK. Also, a civil war is apparently unfolding internally within the Democrat Party after the DNC is essentially like pointing fingers at each other over the fact that the Kamala Harris campaign is in debt and they currently have no way to pay off the $20 or so million that they're hemorrhaging. Also, AOC just removed pronouns from her bio amidst this party debate about how the woke stuff might be hurting them politically. For the record, I don't think it's the only thing that's damaging Democrats politically, but definitely noteworthy. And, you know, you have one of the most far left people in the party now trying to socially moderate. I don't know. It's very interesting. And then lastly, we got to talk about Allan Lichtman. Okay, the infamous 13 Keys professor who is now, instead of just admitting he was wrong, or as I've been saying, he interpreted his own keys wrong, he is blaming Elon Musk, disinformation, and that's about it. That's about it for him getting the 13 keys wrong. He went on to compare, we'll show you the clip here, that America, you know, the literally 1984 thing? Okay, he went out and said we're descending into an Orwellian America. It's 1984 because his precious keys were wrong. We'll talk about that. Also, liberals are plotting a mass exodus from Twitter. This includes Joy Reid and Don Lemon, and also Whoopi Goldberg. Well, we'll show you that clip later tonight. I don't even want to describe it here in the intro. But with that said, guys, gonna be a great show. So if you enjoy the content, please do us a big favor. Be sure to hit that like button. Let's get the stream right now to 100 likes. And also feel free to super chat throughout the night with your thoughts, comments, and the best way to support the show. All super chats until January 20th will be going to our Trump inauguration travel fund. Okay, we're gonna be there. Maybe get a street video. It'll be fun. So yeah, all of that housekeeping stuff out of the way. Let me just say really high. Let me just say hi really quickly to some of our regulars in chat. So shout out to Adam. I see Bloxy is in the chat. Czar, good to see you. I don't know if we've seen you in quite a bit. Thanks for joining. And again, guys, feel free to super chat with your thoughts or comments. Okay, with that said, let's get in here to first news story of the night. Apparently, Donald Trump has named RFK Jr. to the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services. Not going to read the full statement. Actually, let's read it because I think it's telling that the promise here was essentially fulfilled. So from Real Donald Trump, it says, I am thrilled to announce RFK Jr. as the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services. For too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. The safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and HHS will play a big role in ensuring that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in our country. Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic disease epidemic. Make America, I didn't scroll down. Make America healthy again. So there you have it. Now, there was a lot of speculation for a while. The common thinking was that RFK would not be appointed to an actual cabinet position. It'd be more of an advisory role, right? Like the health czar or something. But no, apparently he's going to directly be the director of HHS there. And before we get into talking about it, firstly, I want to say honestly, props so much to RFK for this entire character arc, or you could call it more so a decision he made with his life in August of 2024. Because here you had a guy who disagrees with us and with Trump, and, you know, on a lot of different issues, but he put those political differences aside. He pushed unity ultimately for the goal of saving children. You know, like, and as he's talked about many times, that's his life mission. That's what he really cares about, even more than the politics. And it's a moving story. You know, that is actually unifying. It's funny. They talk so much about unity in like the mainstream sort of dialogue. And what they mean by that is, oh, I miss the days of George Bush and John Kerry, right? I miss the days when we civilly disagreed but came together on issues like endless wars, selling out the American people, you know, some free trade deal that screws everyone over. But this, the politicians in Washington agree on. Yeah, that's not unity. Okay, that's not what national unity looks like. That might be unity in DC, right? You get unity in the Capitol. But when we say national unity, how about unifying over things that Americans actually do care about? This is something I think, honestly, people talk about how, you know, RFK maybe in the election because he gave a lot of his supporters to Trump definitely helped in, you know, November. And I think that's true, definitely, right? You saw the numbers. He basically gave a 0.5 to 1% boost to Trump in many of the major swing states. So that is true. But at the same time, I think an underrated aspect is that when he came into the Trump campaign, he wasn't just being a normal surrogate. He was focusing big on this issue of make America healthy again. And I will say, I think honestly, there are a lot of people in this country who that resonated more with than we realize. Okay. You want to talk about white women, for instance. You know, the thinking was that the Kamala campaign was going to outperform normal Democrats because of abortion and blah, blah, blah. And what you saw, especially in states like North Carolina, was that did not end up happening. Well, honestly, right, I think a big reason for that might be, especially a lot of moms, I wonder out there how much that make America healthy again thing resonated with, right? Because everyone cares about the kids, but nobody cares more about this than parents. You know, I won't dox or reveal the identity, but I will say there was a certain member in my family who is actually a mom and is not super political, right? She doesn't really care that much, but I told her about the Make America Healthy Again thing, and she's like, oh, I like that. I like that a lot, right? So I'm just, you know, the point is, I think he helped a lot in ways we don't realize or understand. And long term, even if it's not perfect, right? If he's able to get half of the unnecessary additives out of the food and all that stuff, then that would be good. And it's funny because, you know, you have seen the reaction, frankly, from both sides over the RFK thing. You have a lot of liberals. Obviously, the whole thing is, oh, he's dangerous. This anti-science nonsense is going to be, you know, bringing back the Black Plague or some nonsense like that. But also, I've seen a lot of Republicans, right? Establishment Republicans are saying RFK is so bad. No, this is not what we need. It's like, but it's so funny because every time they do this, you notice they never have an argument. Like, what actually is the argument against RFK and Make America Healthy Again? Well, I know what it is. He's dangerous. He's anti-science. Okay, but how? How? What does RFK actually say that is like wrong or not true or so dangerous? Notice how there's never an answer to that question, because there is no answer, right? They don't really have anything. You know, so that's why they just throw out the buzzwords, because when you boil it down, the argument against RFK from the liberal side, etc., is basically that, like, processed food is good for you. This is what you argue when you argue against what RFK says on health. Processed food is good for you. It is not causing cancer. It's not causing health problems or anything like that. Obviously not true, right? Big Pharma is just totally good. Like, there's no conflict of interest. There's no issues there. Of course there is, right? By the way, this is an issue that Democrats used to monopolize in our politics. Like, we got to take on Big Pharma. Remember Bernie Sanders? But suddenly now, like, they're just in total defense of Big Pharma. It's so funny how because Trump changed politics in a sense, sort of realigned the party, it forced the Democrats, who used to take a lot of winning stances on issues, objectively speaking, now are just totally picking like the most unpopular positions that you can, which is like Big Pharma is good, or Liz Cheney is a fantastic patriotic American who really cares about this country, etc., etc. And then what else is it, you know? We won't go too much into the vaccine thing for YouTube purposes, but like the idea that they should be exempt from all liability. I mean, that is controversial in my opinion, whatever. But you get the point. You get the point. So those are just totally ridiculous to me. And it's just not a winning position for them. And I think, honestly, the things that RFK ends up doing, if he's able to actually implement them, he will be up against a lot of big pharma interests, by the way. You look at the stock market today, the moment that RFK was announced, every big pharma stock is plummeting down into the red. So they know exactly what is going on and, whatever. But the one issue they may be right about is whether or not RFK can actually be confirmed by the Senate. And this is something that Bill Kristol, who is a man I deeply, deeply resent, especially for his role in the Iraq war, but he did have a legitimate point today, honestly, which was that Mitch McConnell and all of the establishment Republicans may be trying to oppose the nomination of RFK in the Senate chamber. And I think that is an open question for a lot of the Trump cabinet picks, whether it's RFK Jr., whether it is Matt Gaetz, obviously, that's going to be a very hard one to push through, Tulsi Gabbard, etc., because a lot of the Republican Party is still full of not so nice people, we will say, okay? Not so nice people. Although the good news on this front, it's still an open question, is that firstly, Trump can just do a recess appointment if he wants. But if you do want to get them through the Senate, I will share with you this. Multiple sort of more establishment neocon senators have essentially bent the knee to Trump in the last several 24 hours. And Lindsey Graham is just one example. Okay, take a listen to what he had to say about the Matt Gaetz pick, but also just in general, the cabinet and the greater discussion on that.
He won the election. He deserves a chance to pick his cabinet. I am predisposed to allow him to do that. I think Matt Gaetz is very bright. I think he's qualified. He'll have a hearing and he'll have some tough questions to answer. But to every Republican, please follow a process to give President Trump the ability to pick the people he thinks can do the job and give Matt a chance to prove himself.
And you have a history of that.
I do it for everybody. I do it for everybody.
So there you have it, right? That is at least one neocon vote we can rely on. I mean, I know that Lindsey Graham typically is a little bit smarter than some of his colleagues. Dude, the guy is not a Trump supporter. Okay, let's just say it. The guy doesn't believe in MAGA or anything like that. He just recognizes A, that it's politically expedient not to oppose Trump, and B, maybe by not doing so, he can try to influence Trump. We have also seen that before, unfortunately. But you know what? It's worth noting. Okay, at least Lindsey Graham is saying he's going to vote for Trump's cabinet picks. Now, though, this is very interesting. So this was a much more ambiguous answer, but the new Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, who, is even more of a rhino than Lindsey Graham is, arguably. But listen to what he had to say about the Trump cabinet picks. Similar messaging. Take a listen.
And when it comes to choosing nominees who will pass Senate confirmation?
Well, as you know, the Senate has a advise and consent role under the Constitution. So we will do everything we can to process his noms quickly, get them installed in their position so they can begin to implement his agenda.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm trying to fix the audio on some of these clips because it's all inconsistent here. But so John Thune, kind of an ambiguous answer again, but he goes out and says, yeah, we're going to try to ram through the appointments quickly, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's still an open question, okay? But so with that said, I guess here's my message to the neocon Republicans who inevitably are going to try to delay or stall or just openly vote against many of the Trump cabinet picks. Look, to the neocons, we are not friends and never will be, okay? And this is not just like a post-election thing. I've said this basically the entire length of when I've been doing this, talking about politics stuff. But we can mutually gain here if you choose to be smart, okay? That's my message, is be smart. Because to all of the, I won't vote for Matt Gaetz, I won't vote for Tulsi Gabbard, I understand that we disagree on the issue, so I'm not going to try to make a judgment to you about morality or the right thing to do or principles, because we totally have different viewpoints on this. But what I will say is, at least for the sake of self-preservation to the neocons, politically speaking, of course, maybe that's something you got to consider, right? Because you have seen Okay, the fact that you are currently still in the Senate or even in Congress, if you're a neocon in it today, that means you made it through the first 4 years of Trump and recognized it is the most smart, it's the most politically savvy, expedient, and wise thing to do to put your head down sometimes and go along with Trump, because you have seen what happens, whether it's a disgraced cabinet member or a disgraced senator who chooses to openly defy and undermine Trump. Okay, so let me just say, you've seen what has happened. Okay, so again, the fact that you're still in office proves to me you don't want to end up like Liz Cheney, like Adam Kinzinger, like Mitt Romney, or Justin Amash, or Anthony Scaramucci, or any of these characters who got their little 15-minute CNN hit, and then what happened after that, right? They had nothing, they had no power, they had no sitting office, and now there's nothing they can do. So, again, I don't think you guys really care about principles or agreeing on ideology or anything. I don't even know how we can say we're in the same party, but fair enough. Again, if you want, and this is a kind of, in a sense, I am saying it, right? If you want to save your career, if you want to still have a career, just vote for these, put your head down, and like, don't defy Trump, okay? And people are going to say, oh, that's like cultish behavior. Well, again, I'm speaking right now to specifically neocon congressmen and senators, because you guys, it's like talking to a brick wall, right? I can't convince you on the issues. Again, we barely share the same party. It's not much different than talking to a Democrat. So yes, that is my message. Because Elon Musk has already came out and publicly said that any congressmen or senators who choose to undermine or try to openly defy Trump's agenda, he will be primarying. He will try to fund a primary against. You know how much money he has. You know how much power he has. You know how smart he is. Is that really something you want to do with your political career? Because you know what? I hope to see a lot of you people still primary, but at the very least, if you keep your head down for 4 years, you'll stay in office, then maybe you can have a legacy after it. Okay. So you guys all have to make a choice, which is, do I want the choice of self-preservation? Do I want to stay in the party, still have a legacy, not get voted out of office? Or do I want to end up like the disgraced jokes that are all of the people historically who have gone against Trump? And as you see, it is not a winning strategy in the Republican Party. So again, make the smart choice to the neocons. That's all I have to say. Okay. Beyond that, like, you guys are a bunch of fools, but what I'm banking on in this scenario is you guys are so ridiculously power hungry and like sociopathic that you will do what is most beneficial to you. I think in Lindsey Graham, that is exactly the case, right? That is why he decided not to be like Mitch McConnell or not to be like Mitt Romney, even though he agrees with their politics. It's like, well, I mean, what am I going to like not allow myself to keep getting reelected? Again, if you want to get reelected, do the smart thing. Just suck it up and you can go be a neocon when Trump is gone. Okay. So that's honestly my thing. And it's funny because I saw this tweet was from a Democrat congressman, okay? So not a Republican, but I think it really did summarize still, even though it's from a Democrat, the attitude that also a lot of the establishment Republicans have on this, which is he essentially said, actually, I'll see if I can pull it up right here because it was just so astonishing to me. But this guy basically, here it is, basically makes the argument. Here you go. It says, Trump voters chose him because of the economy and the border. They didn't choose him to put an unqualified sycophant as Secretary of Defense or a possible Russian agent as DNI, the target of a DOJ investigation as Attorney General, or a vax denier as Secretary of HHS. The Senate must do its job properly. And I responded here, and I think it's very true, right? Read what he said. Trump voters chose him because of the economy and the border. The Senate's job is to oppose the Trump cabinet picks that do not go along with my subjective perception of why the American people voted for him. And this was my response here. It's not the Senate's job, right? It's not your job to decide why the American people voted for Trump. Okay, it's just pure arrogance. And that's completely true. Again, to the Republicans, we are part of the same party, at least on paper here, okay? It's not your job to decide because you did not get the mandate. Let's be clear about that. When you look at the coattails and all that, okay, it's really Trump who swept this election. We underperformed with a very favorable Senate map, and we barely won the House, okay, very narrowly. When the Republican at the top of the ticket swept all 7 battleground states, in the Senate, yes, we won. In the House, yes, we won. Did not come nearly close enough. So that said, you guys are going to claim, oh, we also have the mandate. No, you do not have the mandate. Trump has the mandate. So again, it is not your job to decide what that mandate is about or what it means or what the American people voted for. The American people voted for Trump. That's it. They didn't vote for you. Honest truth. They did not vote for you. They voted in almost every single state. The GOP Senate candidate underperformed what Trump did. Okay? So that tells you everything you need to know. They voted for him. Whatever you think about Matt Gaetz, oh, that's going to hurt us politically. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., all these people. Again, that is not your job to decide. Just get the heck out of the way. Seriously. Okay? But anyways, with that said, guys, there is the news on the RFK Jr. front. Again, gonna have to wait to see if he actually ends up getting confirmed. By the way, guys, again, feel free to super chat with your thoughts. I'll read them here in between our segments. But now, moving on, okay, to our next topic tonight. This is a fun one, okay? Because we obviously did a lot of talk just trashing our own party. So why not at least throw some shade at the other side? The Democrats are in complete disarray and civil war internally right now. This has been reported extensively. We'll read from this Axios article in a second about their financial problems. But firstly, I do want to point this out. So apparently, guys, AOC, check this out, has removed her pronouns from her Twitter bio. Okay, as you can see here, before blah blah, I'll expand the picture here. So okay, before blah blah blah, Twitter bio, whatever, no American should be too poor to live, people funded, no lobbyists, she, her, and now if you check today, those pronouns are gone. And this is very hilarious because AOC just 2 years ago had to make an apology video for not having pronouns in her Instagram bio. Okay, take a listen to this.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. They used to be on there. Let me go in and check and see if I can add them. Sorry about that. They used to be there. I guess they fell off, but I'll put them on right now.
So she did a whole thing about this, right? About how important it is to have your pronouns in your bio, and now they're gone. Now, what is this about, right? I think we know. I don't think it's because AOC is having some type of insane ideological transformation, but even she cannot really deny that the woke stuff, among other reasons, okay, it's not the only stuff, but among other reasons, caused the Democrats' utter political collapse in 2024. So now you're going to see a lot of debating going back and forth because some factions of the Democrat Party are claiming it's the wokeness, right? It's the social issues that are screwing them over. Some on the more progressive side tend to make the argument, I see TYT making this a lot, that it's more the economic issues, right? They abandoned economic populism and that's why they lost the working class. Truthfully, I think the answer is both, right? I think they both sort of contributed to the Democrats doing so badly, obviously, in this election, as well as just a general sense of fakeness, right? Very inauthentic party, although that goes along with the, I guess, populism aspect, right? But anyways, check this out. This is an article from Axios. Apparently, again, total chaos and collapse right now in the DNC. Money tensions rise between Harris's team and the DNC. So the context of this, by the way, guys, if you're not familiar, the Kamala campaign ended this cycle $20 million in debt. That is right. I think, okay, you know what? Fact check. I think the exact number was 18 million. So sorry, let me correct that. $18 million in debt. Now, you may be bringing up the fact that she raised $1 billion. Like, how on earth did that even happen? Yeah, it's a fair point. It is, right? Well, apparently, a big reason is like they spent, I think they said $50 million on payroll. Like an insane amount. I think in contrast, the Trump campaign only spent $10 million on paying their staffers. So a lot of people were way overpaid. You had a lot of consulting fees that were just sucking up all the money. But most notably, and what people were making the most fun of, apparently they paid $10 million for Beyonce to endorse Kamala. Keep in mind, Beyonce is the same character who did not even do a concert. Remember that? Like the people left the rally because they thought she was going to actually sing and perform, and she gave like a 3-minute speech and left. Apparently they paid her $10 million. They paid like $1 million to Oprah to do that one town hall, and that was it. And the list goes on. I forget some of the other numbers, but yeah, paying millions of dollars to these celebrities, which is hilarious because I've never heard of that. I've literally never heard of that. In most cases, it is true that when someone goes out to endorse a presidential campaign, they do it for free, okay? Because it's something they believe in, but it tells you a lot. Anyways, but with that said, again, context here, their campaign is in debt. It is very hilarious. Here's the problem is they can't pay it off, okay? So this is from Axios. Democrat leaders are increasingly anxious about being left with a big bill from Kamala Harris's campaign, which is likely to end in millions of dollars in debt. Four people familiar with the matter tell Axios. Why it matters? Debt beyond a few million bucks could hamper the DNC's efforts to rebuild the party over the next 4 years. The intra-party tension has put scrutiny on how Harris's team, which raised well over $1 billion in less than 5 months between the campaign and outside groups, spent the money. Yeah, great question here. Driving the news, Democrat Party Chair Jamie Harrison has privately expressed concerns about the campaign spending and has asked about the potential level of debt. Two people familiar with the matter told Axios. The extent of the debt remains unclear because the campaign is still raising money and still receiving invoices from vendors and others. Yeah, did you guys see that? Apparently, they're raising money right now. They're sending these emails saying that they want to help fund recounts in a lot of the swing states. Yeah, they're not going to any recounts, okay? It's so you can pay off the Kamala campaign debt, all right? And honestly, I know that a lot of Democrat voters out there are very loyal in a sense. It's like, okay, CNN, whatever you tell me, I'm going to do. But even them, I don't think they're raising a lot of money. I'm just going to say that right now, okay? Because they're just so demoralized, if nothing else, and they feel lied to. Oh, she raised $1 million. Why didn't we win? I thought, Joy Reid said that Queen Latifah, and Oprah were endorsing, Kamala. I thought that's game over. MSNBC and CNN lied. So I don't even think that they really care at this point. Like, they've just given up. They've checked out. Probably a reason why MSNBC is also hemorrhaging ratings, but that's besides the point. Okay, but the intrigue here. Tensions are already building between Harris's team and DNC chair Jamie Harrison. Some on the campaign roll their eyes at the fact that Harrison has been followed around by a documentary crew since the Democrats' convention in August. So apparently they're spending, you want to talk about how they waste money, right? They've been spending this money on this whole documentary crew. Hey, let's showcase how Jamie Harrison delivered a historic victory to our first black woman president. Uh-oh, we lost. Oh no, what's going to happen now? A DNC official said the committee did not pay for the documentary. Okay, well, we'll see about that, right? Reality check. Campaigns are always second guess why they lose. Obviously, that is true. But here you go. Many campaign committees have debt at the end, but the DNC is worried about being loaded down with tens of millions in debt as it was after Barack Obama's campaign re-election in 2012. Even with Obama winning and able to still raise money for the DNC, the committee was still more than $2 million in debt in late 2015. Check this out. You want to talk about 2028? That made it difficult for the committee in the run-up to the 2016 elections. Hillary Clinton's team believed the DNC debt contributed to her defeat in 2016. Oh, so there you go, right? But on top of that, they're probably going to be much deeper in debt this time around because it got beat so badly, right? At least Obama won, so he could still go around and say, okay, we won. Can you please give us more money so we can keep winning? Kamala is disgraced. Like there's nothing they can do, so it's very funny to see. Anyways, going on here. Let's see. Harris's campaign is expected to be able to raise money in the days after the election, but Trump's victory was clear, making post-election fundraising more difficult. What they are saying, many on Kamala Harris's team remain shell-shocked by Trump's victory. They acknowledge disagreements on tactics and how some of the money was spent, but some aren't sure such changes would have made a difference. How do you raise a historic amount of money and not win a single swing state? One Harris aide. I love that. Okay. So it's great question. Democrat voters who gave to this campaign, by the way, should be asking this. And by the way, also the donors. Okay. Not that I'm exactly like shedding tears because the Democrat donors threw their money away, but going forward, yeah, if I were them, I would ask. Okay. You're going to give all this money. Can we at least win a single swing state, you know? And win the popular vote as a Democrat? The honest answer is, I don't know. It seems we lost the national narrative, and that's what we need to diagnose. Yeah, that is true. And we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, you basically have this story here. But the funniest part, some of the allies of the Harris campaign were frustrated by this takeover of the event. Oprah Winfrey, check this out. So, you know, when you look at the FEC records, Kamala's campaign was paid $1 million to Oprah Winfrey's production company, Harpo, for the town hall. So they paid out $1 million to do that stupid town hall. Oprah told TMZ she was not paid anything. She says she was paid nothing ever. Okay. Yeah. Surely we believe this. Okay. So anyways, there it is, guys. Long story short, again, Democrat Party appearing to be in complete financial chaos and ruin after the 2024 election. And look, I think the Kamala campaign there did raise a legitimate question. How do you raise $1 billion and not win a single swing state, right? Well, it's two issues. Like we said earlier, people are blaming both of these. I think the answer is they are both correct. First of all, the wokeness, right? The general social perception that the Democrat Party is crazy played a big contributing factor to them losing this election. You know, it's very interesting. Remember that Trump ad that was, it talked about how Kamala wanted to give free transgender surgeries to illegal immigrants and criminals. Remember that? And at the end, it said that Kamala is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you. So apparently, according to like the data on this, that was Donald Trump's most effective campaign ad. And they ran this a lot on the airwaves of the NFL and a lot of sports games, a lot of things catered to men. And as you can see, it made a big difference in the election. Okay, it probably will go down in history as one of the most effective campaign ads, believe it or not, was that Kamala is for they, them ad. Now, with that said, the Democrat counter argument I've been hearing is, oh, but Kamala was not woke, right? Because during the campaign, she actually didn't really talk about the social issues. It's like, yeah, but the problem is the people don't believe you. See, that's the thing, is they seem to have this perception that as long as you have money on your side and as long as you're saying the right things the consultants told you at a given time, there's no reason you should lose the election, right? But that's a problem. There was no trust. See, that's what it is. Because Kamala Harris came off as so fake, she was completely astroturfed as a candidate, and it was so easy to bring up, hey, look at all the radical left things she did back in 2020. It was not really believable to people when she pivoted to being first like a working class populist early on in the campaign, where she said she's going to go after big business and price gouging. And then all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, she's with Mark Cuban talking about how great the neocons and Dick and Liz Cheney are, and doesn't talk about the social issues, even though she used to be super woke, right? People, the fallout, the damage was already done. I think that's first and foremost. And that's why similar issue here is immigration, right? Whether you want to constitute that as a social issue or not, definitely made a big impact in this election. Of course, their argument late was, no, actually, now I care about the border. You know, now we actually introduced the bill to fix the border. Nobody believed you, right? Because you guys, under the Trump years, were the pro-open border party. Everyone remembers that. And then once you took office, the situation got totally out of control. It's like trying to put Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You know, it's like, it's just, you're screwed. You know, you've already done the political damage to yourself. And so that was first and foremost. And, you know, I think if Democrats want to pick someone in the future who will not have the woke stuff drag them down, you know, it needs to be someone who never touched it. And I don't know who that is, right? Because whether it's Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or maybe Josh Shapiro, but even then, I'm not sure, right? You need someone who like, it's very hard to make the woke argument against. And most of the poster childs of the Democrat Party have touched that issue at some point or another. So that's their first issue. But also, secondly, and I think this is the part that a lot of the Democrats are missing, is they lost the working class for a reason, right? They lost union workers for a reason, even though at their convention they were chanting, union, yes. Union, yes. You know, they were doing all this. Oh, well, actually, we're for the working class. When you denied inflation for 4 years, when you said it just wasn't real and you just kind of spat on the demands of the working people, but then all of a sudden in election year, you suddenly care so much about this, no one believes you. right? No one believes you. And I would also say when you embrace, it's an interesting statistic. I think they said that Kamala campaigned more with like the Cheneys than she did with the union workers. I believe if I'm remembering that correctly, it's like, yeah, no one likes the neocons. Okay. And the moment that you endorsed that Liz and Dick Cheney endorsed you and then you brought them in, it was over. It was over. Right. So again, I think honestly, and I don't know if I want to give them advice or not, but whatever, we're doing analysis right now. The Democrats' best chance at winning in the future rests on two things. I guess the third could be if there's a big recession in 2027 or 2028 and they just bank on that, taking down the Republicans. But that aside, right, is first of all, the candidate needs to be, I would say, economically populist. Okay, this is something they are missing, and that's why they lost the working class. Notice I didn't say socialist, okay? The problem with the progressives and the progressive caucus in the Democrats are going to say, oh, Vince is agreeing with us. No, I'm not. Because there's a difference between being economically populist and like calling yourself socialist. I would not run on, for instance, abolishing private healthcare or stuff like that, right? But more so the old school Democratic message of like, raising the minimum wage. Tariffs, very interestingly, were something the Democrats used to support until like 2 seconds ago. Maybe like paid family leave, stuff like that, right? More the bread and butter issues that JFK kind of, made popular or whatever. That's number one. So you got to be populist on that front. And if you can kind of embrace that, you won't come off as so elitist, number one. But yeah, number two is you also need someone who is like just not woke, right? Who is not like, who is a social moderate, does not come off as insane on those issues, because those are the two things right now just completely dragging down the Democrats. In terms of 2028, I don't know who they're going to run. It's probably going to be like Gavin Newsom or something. Can he run away adequately enough from that stuff? I'm not sure. But honestly, I think their best chance at winning left field is someone like Dean Phillips. If you don't know Dean Phillips, he's one of those like really moderate Democrat congressmen who ran against Biden in the 2020 primary. And that's big, right? Because they could not associate possibly, like our side cannot possibly look at Dean Phillips and say, oh, look, Joe Biden or anything related to that. But then also he's very socially moderate, right? That's a big thing. But I don't know. I don't know why we're even giving advice to the Democrats. It's just fun for me. But they're going to be very interesting to see what conclusions do they end up drawing from the 2024 election. Because if their conclusion is basically we did nothing wrong, but it's racism and sexism, in which case we choose a white guy like Newsom in 2028. Okay, Newsom, yes, has a lot of advantages on Kamala Harris because he can speak. He can like speak on camera. He's talented actually rhetorically. Fair enough. But so is JD Vance, right? Just saying, assuming he is the front runner there. If they still run a campaign that's basically the same, right? It's totally fake. It's hollow. It's based on celebrity endorsements. They don't have any better shot, right? If they don't fundamentally pivot on the issues and also do it sincerely enough for people to believe them, I don't see what shot they have. And there is no one currently in their party like a Donald Trump, okay? Because Bernie Sanders is too old. Dean Phillips, I don't think would ever get a shot, right? Whether it's from the left or the middle, whatever, who can like come along and fundamentally restructure the party. I don't know. I don't see it at the current moment. But anyways, that's the political future of the Democrats. Not exactly looking good. We also got the news today that Nancy Pelosi, at 84 years old, has filed to run for re-election in 2026. So you want to say we need younger faces in the Democratic Party. Well, not off to a good start because Nancy Pelosi is still calling the shots. I don't know, guys. They're just such an utter disaster. Okay, it's kind of funny to see. Anyways, we'll move on here from that story, but really quickly, I know we got our super chat, so let me read this right here. Tech Boy for $5 says, Vince, I'm a neocon, probably a bit more interventionist than you, haha, but I like most of the picks, but I'm scared of the Gates allegations. Your thoughts? Yeah, well, they're gonna be something. Okay, the whole, sex trafficking or pedophilia scandal, that whole thing was dropped. Right? Like the Biden DOJ, who went through with all the other, a lot of stuff, okay? They saw so little evidence for that they dropped the charges, okay? So to me, that issue is closed. That case is closed. Like it's totally unsubstantiated. It never really was. It was a political indictment, or I don't even know if there was an indictment, right? But it was a political investigation, I'll say. I don't think he ever got indicted. It was just an investigation. So it's a politicized investigation. They came up with nothing. And then the stuff I saw Democrats saying on social media was like, this man was at the forefront of a sex trafficking investigation and you're going to nominate him attorney general. It's like, do you hear yourself? He was investigated and exonerated. The charges were never brought. Okay. You know, so I'm sure a lot of Republicans are going to get cold feet because of it. And that'll be something to watch. But, you know, to me, it's not really relevant. Digital Lee, here we go, for $2 says, admit it, you're President Trump's press secretary. Yeah, this is the secret we're all hiding, guys, okay? 2025, you will see me taking questions from... Who's the White House reporter now for CNN? Because it's not Caitlin Collins anymore. I don't know if they're going to bring her back or Acosta back, but, I'm looking forward to my new job. No, I'm not President Trump's press secretary, okay? I can tell you that right now. But we should start this. We should start the movement online. Let's just do it. Okay. Let's just lobby for me to be the press secretary. It's really funny. I remember when I was in high school, that was like, I watched actually some of Trump's like press secretaries and I was like, dude, that job looks so fun. Okay. I would love to do that. So I don't know, maybe one day it still happens. Nowadays, do I care for it as much? No, I like doing kind of the independent work. The thing about being a press secretary is you have to speak on someone else's behalf. But, if there was a future Republican candidate when I'm older that I really like and like believed in, then, it would be fun. It looks really fun arguing with reporters in the White House. A lot of people would find that to be insufferable, but it's kind of one of those things I think people like us live for, So that'd be fun. Again, guys, thanks for the super chats. Feel free to do so if you'd like to support the content. You got thoughts? Maybe I should set a super chat goal for the inauguration or something. But okay, that said, let's move on here to our other stories. I got one question for everyone. Okay, hold on. Where's the what happened guy? We need this. Okay, we need this. One question for Allan Lichtman, guys. Are you ready? Hold on. What happened meme is probably what I should search up here, okay? If I can find it. Where is he? All right, never mind. We can't find it. But all right, we'll do it ourselves then. Allan Lichtman, what happened? So true, guys. Because Allan Lichtman, the infamous creator of the 13 keys model, I mean, by now he was wrong. Okay, I think we've established that. If you don't know though what the 13 keys are, I'm not going to take the time to explain it in too much detail here. But long story short, so Allan Lichtman, this guy is a huge Democrat, but he's like this presidential historian who claims to have accurately predicted like all of the American presidential elections based on his 13 keys model. And this time around, he said Kamala Harris was going to win. I was making the entire argument the whole time that Allan Lichtman's model is sound, like it is a good prediction model, but the problem is he's so biased and it's subjective that he's not interpreting it correctly. And he said, no, I'm not biased. I'm totally correct about this. And of course, he was wrong. And instead of just taking accountability, as I've been pointing out, it's very simple, actually. He got the keys wrong because he looked at the economy wrong. Okay, the economy obviously was not working in the Democrats' favor. He said there was no scandals. I argued Biden's mental decline as well as the border probably constitute a scandal because it really is not a good look for the administration. And then I believe he also said there was no major foreign policy failure, which there were like several of them, so like it all added. But anyways, he was so smug. Okay, this guy's the smug professor. He was like, nope, I'm right about this. Everyone else is wrong. You guys don't have science. Okay. My toupee is funded by science here. And then, of course, he was wrong. But instead of just admitting to his defeat, honestly, take a listen to what Allan Lichtman is now blaming for the reason why he got the 13 keys wrong in the 2024 election, because it's really funny. Okay, it's really funny. Let's take a listen.
Yes, as I said, things could go wrong. There could be unprecedented events that change the pattern of 160 years of history. That's what happened here. Two things. Number one, disinformation. We've always had disinformation, but disinformation has exploded to an unprecedented degree. You talked about a grievance election, but a lot of that grievance was driven by disinformation. Starts with Fox News. and conservative media, conservative podcasters with tens of millions of views. But we've seen something brand new this time. The 300 billionaire Elon Musk putting his thumb on the scales through his control of X, formerly Twitter. It's been reported that his misinformation has had billions, literally billions of views. And this has spread to every aspect of this election.
So, okay, let's get this so far. So the reason he got the 13 keys wrong again is not because of the things I pointed out before the election, by the way. He got his economy, he was not reading that right. Foreign policy was a scandal. And domestically, there was a scandal. I also argued that, like, the major primary contest and third-party keys, even though the circumstances were slightly different, were also not in Kamala Harris's favor. You know, other stuff I said. But, you know, again, no, it's because disinformation, okay? So in other words, my model was right. The Americans are just wrong. My model that's supposed to be an objective predictor of presidential elections, disinformation lost us the election, guys. Because that is never, by the way, you know, obviously when he says disinformation, he literally just means the truth. But, okay, even taking his argument at face value, there's always been disinformation. What, social media didn't exist in 2020 or 2016? Oh, but he says it's because of Elon Musk. Also, he talks about the conservative podcasters as if, again, we weren't around in especially like 2020. Why didn't we, you know, what happened there? 2016, you know? It just doesn't make any sense. Yes, the internet's a little bigger now, but I honestly would argue that this sector overall was actually a little bigger back in 2020 because like everyone was at home because of COVID, so they just watch content all day. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. The COPE is just hilarious. Okay, let's just keep listening. I'm gloating at this. It's amazing.
There is misinformation about everything about the economy, inflation, jobs, unemployment, the stock market, growth. There is vast disinformation about undocumented immigrants.
Okay, we'll get to the immigration one in a second. He says there is mass disinformation about the economy. What? So according to this is how insanely out of touch the crazy professor is. When the American people feel inflation and they do not feel like their pocketbooks are doing well, which you rightly in the past said, yes, that is a big predictor in presidential elections. No, it's disinformation. Yeah, you paid $7 for eggs today. That's disinformation. No, you didn't. You know, it's so unbelievable. And by the way, he's good. Oh, but the right wing was lying about the economy. Well, first of all, I think the right wing argument about the economy the whole time is like, we really didn't go into the numbers. We just said, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? No. Everyone's like, no, we were not. Okay, boom. Everyone voted for Trump. There you go. Right? But even if that's the case, okay. Let's remember, for instance, back in 2019, before COVID, what was the Democrat argument against the Trump economy? It was that, like, yeah, the unemployment is low, but people aren't making good wages or stuff like that. Like, that is the generic, conventional way that you attack an opponent with a supposedly strong economy, is say it's not working for everyone, right? That's what Democrats said back then. So that is nothing new to presidential politics, right? So what does Allan Lichtman even talk? Oh, but it was misinformation about the economy that changed the election. This guy is so delusional. It's just hilarious.
Market growth. There is vast disinformation about undocumented immigrants. You know, that they're supposedly killers who are out to get you. In fact, studies by Cato and the National Institute of Justice show undocumented immigrants are the most law-abiding segment of our society, committed crimes and violent crimes, less than half that of native-born Americans. It spread to the hurricane relief, spreading lies that hurricane relief dollars were being diverted to migrants. It's lies about the Ukraine war, that somehow Ukraine was responsible for having one of the world's great powers invade a third or fourth-rate power. And, you know, as scholars have shown, once you dissolve truth, democracy dissolves along with it.
So ridiculous. Now, again, it's like, okay, let's take his arguments at face value. Like, let's not even address, you know, the wrong things he is saying there. and just argue about the model, right? Again, okay, fair enough. So you say the right wing was lying about all these things. Is this, Allan, the first time in history that one political party weaponized an issue effectively against the other? What are we talking about here? I mean, that has always been done, always, right? You know, you could make an argument that in 2008, like, the Bush administration was not directly responsible for the Great Recession, but of course Obama weaponized it. Not even directly against Republicans, maybe. Like, I don't know. I was not really old enough back then to remember, but I would assume so, right? You know, the Iraq War was not weaponized against Bush in 2004. Of course it was. These things have always happened. And according to your objective model, also the funniest thing, this is the same guy who says that, like, information doesn't matter, presidential debates don't matter, polls don't matter, you know, public opinion, whatever. The election's going to go based on these keys. Okay, then in that case, how would so-called disinformation actually affect that? It's just pure cope. Okay, it's just pure cope. Anyways, let's get into more of this because I'm enjoying this, okay? This is like, you know, of all of the liberal meltdowns of the 2024 election, Allan Lichtman is my favorite because the guy is just so, like, delusional and smug. Like he's such a character that it just makes it so easy to laugh at, okay? You got the mad scientist at American University turning, no, my keys are right. My keys are going to be right. Kamala's going to win. No, I'm objective. I'm so objective. Boop, 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 boop. And then it just turns out totally wrong. Okay, so he did a live stream yesterday titled The Misinformation Takeover. Okay, that's the actual name of this stream. And let's tune in to take a listen to Allan Lichtman explaining why he got the keys wrong in 2024.
Soundbite stuff. We're not going to parrot the conventional wisdom. And we're also here to answer all of your questions. Ask me anything you want, except don't ask me what, Sam?
About the opera.
About the opera, and we'll be happy.
You really think you can give you really think in the next 4 years you can give impartial analysis on Trump? I don't think.
No, you're not.
I think so.
Well, it's factual. Let's put it that way.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah. You know, I don't say anything that I can't back up. Unlike
Kamala Harris is going to win the election, buddy. Remember that one? Hey, remember that one?
some others. In fact, that's what we're going to talk about today.
Right. All right, Dad, what's on your mind? Obviously, misinformation, the title of our show. You wanted to title the show The Orwellian America. So you've got a big, got a lot of say.
The Orwellian America is when my keys are wrong, okay? What happened to the keys, Lichtman? The day the keys are wrong. It's literally 1984. Oh my god! To back
that up, you have to say a lot to back that up.
This is so good.
George Orwell is one of my favorite authors, and I wrote about the danger of an Orwellian America several years ago in my book, 13 Cracks, Repairing American Democracy After Trump. You know, my big point was you can't blame everything on Trump. There's a lot more going on than just Trump to threaten our democracy and to spread disinformation. And I talked about the fact that several years ago, long before this election, that we could be heading for an Orwellian America. What do I mean by that? I'm talking, of course, about George Orwell's prescient novel, 1984. The only problem was George Orwell was 40 years too early. It's not 1984 we're in danger of an Orwellian America. It's 2024.
Again, this is his response to his keys being wrong. Okay, that's what's so funny about it. It's like, again, you got the keys wrong because you misread the economy, you misread foreign policy, stuff like that. Instead of saying, oh, I was wrong, this is 1984 because my precious keys got thrown in the garbage bin of history.
As I explained,
this is so good.
Oh God, I've got so much, flack from people who think, they know it all about the keys and about why Harris lost. Of course,
you don't know anything about the keys, clearly, dingus, huh? I thought the keys tell all. I thought no one could turn the keys. Well, you tried to turn the keys and you failed, so the keys were right. Actually, in this case, I would say the 13 keys are vindicated against Allan Lichtman, because he's always been saying no one can subjectively turn the keys. They're objective. That includes you, buddy. The keys are vindicated. Lichtman, what happened to the keys? Where are my keys? My keys are not in my pocket. I lost my keys like Allan Lichtman. I was going to pull them out here.
After the fact, knowing what happened. It's like sports talk radio without the entertainment value. It's utterly meaningless post hoc kind of explanations. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But as I explained,
okay, you can go on my Twitter right now, guys. I said the exact thing before the election that I'm saying after, which is his keys got, again, economy was wrong, foreign policy was wrong, scandal arguably, but also I would say major primary contest and potentially third party. He read all of those wrong. Okay. So it was very simple, actually. It was like the 13 keys, when you go Google them right now, if you're not really familiar with what we're talking about, look at them. And if any of you in chat are reading, you're going to say, oh, this should have indicated a Trump victory. And it did. And it did. But the guy's response is to say that because he is an insanely just biased Democrat, that's why he couldn't read the keys objectively. It's 1984. So, very funny. Very funny. You love to see it. All right, guys, in other news, though, I guess everyone is handling this entire situation in their own way because he deleted it. Oh, my gosh. He deleted so it's not there anymore. But long story short, let's see. Okay, the Joy Reid one is still up. But currently, in other copium news, apparently a lot of liberals are planning a mass exodus from Twitter. Today, Don Lemon, for instance, went out and made a whole video about why he was leaving Twitter. I would love to play it for you, but sorry, I'm going to call it X, okay, while he's leaving X. I want to play it for you, but he actually did delete his account. So there you go, right? It's not there anymore. But similarly, Joy Reid apparently was doing the same thing. So this is kind of a mass movement going on. So let's take a listen to Joy Reid's explanation as to why she is leaving Twitter.
Hey guys, so today I finally did something I've been meaning to do for a while. And the reason for doing it, and kissing goodbye my 1.9 million followers over there, is because I hadn't been posting for a long time. I just didn't want to contribute content once it was purchased by its present owner. But just having it there, I was only holding on to it because I, really didn't want someone trying to take over that name and using it for nefarious purposes. I was a little bit worried about that. And also every so often I would use it to just sort of look at news that was trending and what's happening. And I would just sort of use it as an aggregator. But I just realized that that's not really worth it, because in order to do the news aggregation and just look at all, you have to wade through a lot of dreck and a lot of just abuse and a lot of just negativity. And it's just not worth it. And, hey guys, so
there you have it. Okay. Apparently X under Elon Musk is hurting their feelings, and they're making all these complaints like, oh, the dialogue has become so toxic. Why? Because it's actually free speech now, right? Because they're not just deleting everyone they disagree with. But yeah, apparently this is what's happening again. Joy Reid and Don Lemon are both doing this. And apparently they are doing a mass migration to this new app called Blue Sky, which is essentially supposed to be a liberal alt-tech platform. It's very funny. They're trying to make their own alt-tech version of Twitter, and they're all voluntarily migrating over there, right? Don Lemon, I think, is for sure going over there. Not sure about Joy Reid. Maybe she is, maybe she's not. I honestly have no idea there. Of course, you had Don Lemon, who also said he was going to leave Twitter and made 3 different tweets about it, and everyone was joking you're never going to leave, bro. You're going to be back in 2 weeks, which was probably going to be true. But apparently I'm looking right now. He did actually delete it. So, here's the thing is that, one second. Take a sip of water there. So the reason I think this is so funny is because they are willingly, say what you will about Twitter, but they are willingly deplatforming themselves from the most important app when it comes to politics that there is. Right? The political calculus of that is so brain dead. And this is the same, in total fairness, this is the same argument I've made to conservatives a lot, especially in like 2021 and 2022, when everyone was saying, oh, why are you even still on big tech? Go leave to the alt tech. It's like, look, alt tech is good, especially in a scenario where we are being mass censored, which is still sort of the case nowadays, but was definitely the case like a couple of years ago, right? But you should never willingly remove yourself from the public square, right? It's just not winning, because ultimately, realistically, big tech's always going to be in charge, right? Big tech's always going to be big tech. I mean, you could see a MySpace situation where one app completely collapses, but according to the financial reports, right now, X under Elon Musk has the highest usership rate ever, you know? So they're doing well. That's the app that people are using, especially for political context. And what are the liberals doing? Okay, after in total seethe and meltdown over the 2024 election, they're willingly leaving. They're saying, no, we're all going to migrate to our own echo chamber called Blue Sky, probably plot some type of demsurrection over there. Honestly, I have no idea. And essentially just run away. So it's hilarious. I'm here for it. Bye-bye, I guess. You know, have fun on Blue Sky. I don't know what else to say, because you know, I don't even know if I want to say this publicly. No, guys, it's a great idea, actually, but it's so dumb, okay? But I do hope, yes, if there is mass migration of lefties off of the big social media platforms, now that they're better on free speech, you know what? Good. You know, because we're not even deplatforming anyone. It's like they're just willingly leaving. So, but like I said, everyone has to cope with the election in their own way. And that includes Whoopi Goldberg. This will be our last little segment here. Apparently, she is plotting a sex strike in reaction to the 2024 election. That's right. Take a listen.
This.
We all came.
I dare. Yeah, you didn't get here by yourself, man. You can't do this without us.
Yeah.
And if
Okay, what you might be asking, okay, what does she mean by that? All right, take a listen.
we don't let you, you don't get any. It's that simple. It's that simple.
If we don't let you, you don't get any. And the context here is about abortion and all that stuff. So there you have it, right? Whoopi Goldberg, who is, how old is she? Like 78? Let me Google this, actually, just so we get the number right. Okay, Whoopi Goldberg, who is 69 years old, is really making a huge difference in American society. She's going to go on a sex strike because Donald Trump won. Okay, you know, look, Whoopi. Look. I'm not gonna say it, but like, you know, like I don't think you're gonna be having a big impact on a lot of people. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Like, this. Oh, you really own the conservatives, because like Whoopi Goldberg is going on a sex strike. Okay, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I guess everyone's gonna cope with it in their own ways. I don't know. All right. I mean, there you have it. That's the liberal solution, is to, at 69 years old, maybe stop having sex. Okay. Fine. I don't know. But yeah, with that said, guys, that's basically all of these stories we had for tonight. Let me check in. Let me scroll Twitter really quickly to make sure there was no extra news. But we'll spend about like 15 or so minutes reading super chats, interacting with chat. So if you want to join us, feel free to send a super chat in the stream actually right now. Let's tune into this really quickly. Donald Trump is speaking at a Mar-a-Lago dinner where he's just introduced by Sylvester Stallone. So I'm sure we'll be tuning in to that, talking about that very soon. I know RFK Jr. was here. I did see that earlier. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in a video tonight or something. But yeah, all right, super chat time. Feel free to share your thoughts. And yeah, let's do this. Hold on. Why did this page freeze? Is the stream alive? Okay, I believe the stream is alive here. Okay, all right, let's get here to our super chats. Sheeny Beanie for $2 says, "Does Joy Reid have male pattern?" Look, let's try to stay on YouTube, Sheeny Beanie. But thank you for the $2. Okay, yeah, I mean she's copying Donald Trump's haircut is what I'm gonna say about that. Republican Thinker for 5 Canadians says, do you think, are you going to DC on January 20th? I myself think I might go just to see Trump. Yeah, that's my plan. Okay, I would say, I mean, if you're at the inauguration, come say hi. But my experience in the past with big events in DC is like, it's all luck. Like, there's so many people there. Like, there's nowhere we can really find each other. But yeah, I plan to be there. If you see me, be sure to say hi. If I know you from the live chat, let me know who it is. That'll be very cool. But yeah, I mean, so my original plan, you know, usually with this stuff, it's like I didn't go to the RNC. I didn't go to a lot of stuff, I guess, in my life because I was always too busy doing content on it, right? We need to live stream it. We need to react to it, all that. But I decided it's like, okay, the inauguration is the one maybe moment in Trump history that you have a chance to see with your own eyes. Why not just take the day off and go? So that's the plan. That's the plan. Because I feel like there's too much history, frankly, that I've missed because I was working. You know, apparently AOC, by the way, guys, went on MSNBC and said, Tulsi Gabbard getting appointed is devastating. She is pro-war. Okay. Let's take a listen.
And we haven't even gotten to Tulsi Gabbard potentially having access to national security information. And Russia loves it, loves her.
And I actually think almost more than Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard's appointment is devastating. And Tulsi Gabbard's nomination, as much as she says that she's an anti-war person, she's not.
Yeah.
She supports very pro-war individuals,
including
abroad.
In Syria.
And let's be very clear, a Tulsi Gabbard nomination is a pro-war nomination globally. Point blank, period.
As is Donald Trump as president of the United States.
Okay. This is coming from the people behind the candidate who is endorsed by Dick Cheney, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, there you have it. Not very surprising. I guess I will say not very surprising. Chingster says, would you debate with Dean Withers? That is the, I see this guy on Twitter. Isn't he like the guy who, isn't he like Harry Sisson 2.0? Is that who he is? I'd be down. So what I want to do is next year, okay? Probably going to have like a full like podcast studio we can do. I want to like start turning the live stream into like a panel thing. I think most of the time we'll have like our own little panel, but occasionally, I mean, there are some left-wing figures I want to get on the show. Okay. Mainly, I'm going to say this right now, Cenk and Anna. Okay. I think those would both be like very interesting interviews, including Cenk. Okay. That would be very, Cenk Uyghur is a guy I would actually really like to interview on the left. Some of them, it's like, oh my gosh, but you know, I could do that. That would honestly be really fun. And I guess, yeah, Dean, like, yeah, we could do that as well. We could set that up. I want to get this going probably next year. So make sure you're subscribed and supporting the content because this is in the cards. This is Project 2025. Okay, Project 2025 is we're gonna have a whole full-size podcast studio and we're gonna get people in the building. Jinkster says, what about Victor Shi? Oh, Victor Shi would never come on. Never. Because I've never seen him do anything that was remotely hostile. I know, like, Dean does debates and stuff, so, like, fine. But Victor is literally just like a talking points, like, press secretary propagandist. That's all he is, okay? The guy's never once, like, even interacted with conservatives. I doubt he would do it, okay? Victor Shi is a guy you'd have to do, like, the Borat thing and trick him into it. We'd say, like, hey, you're going on this, you want to go on, MSNBC, buddy? And then he shows up and it's like, haha, we've got you now, Victor. Explain why you are a insane Blue Anon conspiracy theorist. That's the only thing you could do because this guy would not do anything. David Pakman. Yeah, that would be another potential guest. Okay, David Pakman. We're gonna save his channel because the guy freaked out. He said he lost 10,000 subscribers on a 2 million subscriber channel after the election, and this was like it for him. Okay, oh my gosh, I'm incredibly wealthy and successful, but I'm seeing a slight dip after the election. Let me make a 7-minute video like scolding people for unsubscribing to me. It's like, okay, maybe next time don't lie to them. Maybe don't mislead. Oh, Kamala Harris is gonna win. She's doing so great. You guys are all so delusional. He went on Piers Morgan yesterday, by the way, and doubled down. Okay, because Piers brought up the same thing I did, which is that ad about the trans issue was actually effective. And David Pakman is like, no, nobody cares about it. Because that's what he was saying before the election. He's like, nobody actually cares about this trans thing. It affects nobody. Then after the election, that ad proven by, like the data on it to be very successful, Trump wins the election. He still goes out and said, no, nobody cares about this. Clearly, you're wrong. But you won't even admit it. You won't even admit it. How about you admit more people care about that stuff than people than you may think? And guys, look, it's not just a matter of like, oh, I was on the fence and then I realized Kamala Harris wants to put men and women's sports and I changed my mind. But what it does kind of build the picture of is a more general perception from the American people that like the left wing is crazy. They have these crazy ideas like open borders, release the criminals, men and women's sports, all that stuff. And when you run ads like that, subconsciously it like doubles down on that perception that they're not normal people. Like they're just insane. They're very radical, right? But David Pakman seems not to understand this. And I hope he doesn't, because that's why they keep losing, Keep losing then. Because you won't disavow this stuff. Invite Kamala Harris. No, we need to invite Joe Biden. Okay, I want to do an interview with Joe, a tell-all interview with Mr. President Joe Biden. Okay, and he's going to explain, how he won the 2024 election for Donald Trump. What a legend! What a legend! Dark Brandon, and it was like, what that election was? It was like Darth Vader, like looking back and forth, and then turning on the Emperor. That's what that was. That's what that was. Okay, the Joe Biden redemption arc was so real. Okay, he always had it in him. We love to see it. We love to see it. But yeah, guys. Okay, last call for super chats. We'll go live here for about 5 minutes. Feel free to do so if you got questions or things you want me to read. But I'll also look at some of the regular chat here. Let's see. Vince, when is Caitlyn Bennett coming on the show? What is Caitlyn Bennett doing these days? I haven't even seen her since 2020, really. I don't know who some of these people are in chat, guys. Invite Chunk. No, look. Okay, I mean this sincerely. Okay, memes aside, we make fun of Cenk a lot because he's a character, it's entertaining, it's fun. Okay, I really don't think I mean to do it in a mean-spirited way. He's just such a character that it's entertaining. But in all seriousness, of all of the figures on the left we could talk to, people might get mad at me for saying this, but I obviously listen to a lot of TYT because I react to them a lot. There are things they say that are better than a lot of Democrats, right? Whether it's being more populist or understanding that sucking up to neoconservatives is not, because they're kind of progressive populists. So that's honestly to say, I think me and Cenk could have a reasonable discussion. We could actually have a decent conversation. I don't know if I could say that about some of these other characters like David Pakman, right? But honestly, okay, whenever it happens, and it will happen one day, the Cenk Vince Dow podcast will go extremely, it'll be very good. Okay, it'll be good content. I'm telling you this right now. We have plans. Okay, I know the first thing I want to ask Cenk, I'm going to say, for the purpose of national unity, could you please give us an of course, okay? And he's going to go, of course! And we'll be like, there you go. That's my boy Cenk. So this is the plan. All right, this is the plan. Zach for $2. Thank you very much, Zach. I appreciate the super chat. Sheeny Beanie says, did you see my $2 super chat? Yeah, I told you. I'm not going to read anything that... People saw it, okay? People saw it. Sheeny Beanie, every stream is trying to get us demonetized by YouTube, literally. Dollar for Dollar says, do not platform Destiny. I tend to agree with you on that. The guy literally, the things he said after Corey Comparator were just disgusting. if I ever did platform him, it would literally just be to grill him on that. Like, hey, why are you such a evil spirited scumbag, essentially, you know? Because that's not a guy who's like, oh, well, let's debate our political differences. No, he's an evil person, okay? And if you don't believe me, look what he said after the Trump assassination attempt. It's like, he literally went out and said that he would laugh if anyone who voted for Donald Trump was killed. Like that's what he said. So it's like, oh, but people still platform him like he's a serious, liberal YouTuber. That people say, oh, he's kind of reasonable sometimes. No, he's not. No, he's not. The guy's a deranged like lunatic. Okay. And frankly, like that's all that needs to be said about him. That's all that needs to be said about him. Thomas says, hey, Vince, what do you think about a JD Vance, Josh Hawley ticket in 2028? Well, Vance is going to be the front runner. And at the current moment, I will say I endorse it. I mean, if something crazy happens, I might change my mind. But for now, I think he should be the front runner. As for Josh Hawley, so I see what you're going for there, which is like double down on the populism. I get that. However, it should be noted, Josh Hawley did come out in endorsement of John Thune for majority leader, which to me was extremely questionable. Like, I don't understand why he did that, what the point of that was. And now I'm a little bit, come on, Josh, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? But on top of that, I think it might also maybe be smart to nominate someone who plays a little more to Vance's weaknesses potentially. And I don't know if Hawley necessarily does that. A good argument could be made for Hawley that so here's the thing. I think whoever Vance chooses, it should be a Southern politician. And why do I say that? Because Vance obviously has a unique appeal in the Rust Belt. He doesn't need help there. But with those Sun Belt states, especially Georgia, North Carolina, maybe Virginia, if that ends up being in play, you kind of need, I'm not saying get like some, I'm not saying put like Brian Kemp up there. Oh, because he has a Southern accent, he's going to win Southerners. I'm not saying that, but maybe someone with more of those political vibes. And I guess you could say Josh Hawley is from Missouri, but I don't know if that really constitutes like the South. Like, I don't know. But that's something you got to consider, is I think Vance's biggest weakness might be, again, he probably is the strongest Republican for Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, but maybe some of those Sunbelt states, I could see him having a blind spot. So you got to also consider that with who you choose as the running mate. And I don't know who it is. I think it's way too far out to really talk about who should be the running mate, because like, who knows, right? But that would be something to consider. Darren Miller says DeSantis. I don't think DeSantis would be a bad VP choice. Hot take for Vance. Because yeah, he fulfills that criteria. Is like, Vance is a northerner. He has that appeal. DeSantis is a very popular governor in the Sun Belt, obviously Florida, but that's his vibe. So if you could kind of unite those two coalitions, that could be strong. If Glenn Youngkin still has political capital, you can make a case for that. Glenn Youngkin obviously is not as like conservative as DeSantis, but he also has more appeal in the suburbs than DeSantis. Maybe, I don't know, but we'd have to see. Sheeny Beanie for 5 says, I would say we should send Destiny to something related to Mr. Diddy, but he might like that. Thank you for the 5, Sheeny Beanie. Thank you for the 5. Thank you for the 5. Not going to say anything beyond that. Garrett Nussmeier for VP. Why? So you can get him out as the LSU quarterback. He didn't have a very good game on Saturday, though. We saw this. We witnessed this. Chesscom says Mark Robinson, Mike Lindell, 2028. I really wonder how many electoral votes that ticket would get. Like under 100. Nah, he probably gets 100 because the country's so divided. But Yeah, what a disaster that was. I'm still mad about that, okay? Because the North Carolina governorship was very winnable. Mark Robinson 2 years ago seemed like a very strong candidate, actually. Like, he was a really popular lieutenant governor. But we know what happened. We know what happened. It's just, it's a bad situation. I don't know what to do about it. Because North Carolina voted for Trump all 3 times, including 2020. There's no reason you have a Democrat governor. Like, it should not happen. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Republicans control both chambers of the state house, but they keep getting a Democrat elected because we keep screwing it up. We keep screwing up that race, you know? So it is what it is. It is what it is. I think, though, okay, last thing I'll say, by the way, last call for super chats. I think we should start a movement, guys, to run Tim Walz or Kamala Harris again in 2028. You know, I started replying to Tim Walz's tweets when he rarely tweets now. I said, please run in 2028. You're going to win this time. Okay. Let's all do this. Let's all start a movement for like the worst Democrat candidates possible, because it's funny that, you know, one of the Democrat excuses I keep hearing after the election is, oh, one of Kamala's mistakes was that she did not use Tim Walz more. And I understand where they're coming from on that, but I think it's completely delusional. Like, Tim Walz was a liability. There's a reason why they kind of put him in the basement towards the end, because he, first of all, is extremely strange. This whole idea, oh, he has populist Midwestern appeal because he's a folksy white guy. That's who you're appealing to? It's like, I think Walz maybe appeals to like the people in the very north of Minnesota and Canadians. But I'm sorry, the auto worker in Michigan or the steel worker in Pennsylvania, they do not look at Tim Walz going, hi, kicking his feet, you know, like a freaking, like a very strange individual, you know? It's a little fruity. I don't know. I'm just saying. That doesn't appeal to freaking Midwestern union workers, okay? It doesn't. He had no appeal. In fact, I'd argue he was off-putting. The only people who thought that, oh, he's going to win Midwestern white guys are like California and New York liberals who have no idea, have never been to the Midwest. They have no idea what people are even like there. Like, it's just a complete caricature. And the caricature is not even accurate. You know, that's number one. And then number two, he got destroyed in the VP debate. Absolutely humiliated. The guy was not strong. He was not a strong candidate. And then lastly, all of his scandals and pathological lying dragged down their candidacy. So again, just little point there. I don't understand the people who say, oh, Walz should have been used more. No, the guy sucked. Okay, the guy was not a good VP choice. But with that said, I say we run him in 2028. Fantastic. All right. Everyone, put in the chat right now. Tim Walz 2028. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. All right. I really hope he's a Democrat nominee. He's terrible. Hillary will run in 2028. Yeah, we need... Actually, I made a list. I made a list of the top 2028 Democrat frontrunners, which I believe included Joe Biden, okay? Because his time's not finished. Great American comeback. You thought Donald Trump was the best one? Wait till Joe Biden comes back in 2028. Dark Brandon wins 400 electoral votes at 86 years old. No, but I say Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris again. That's funny. Someone said, oh, we need to run her in 2028. I like her so much. Yeah, please do. Run Kamala Harris again. Let's do that. You know, have her do a Richard Nixon. It definitely was this time just because she wasn't the candidate for too long enough. She was the candidate for too short a period. Yeah, that's definitely the reason. It's definitely not because she always sucked and the longer she goes, she will collapse. No, run her again. I dare you, Democrats. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's run Kamala Harris again in 2028 and see what happens. You know, someone who had no ability to like speak in interviews or answer basic questions. I'm sure if they just had more time to run their race, they would have done better. No. The longer she went, the more unpopular she grew. That's just true. So, you know, it is what it is. All right, guys, if we got no more super chats, let me check Streamlabs here really quickly. I think we're all caught up. Okay, with that said, guys, thank you to everyone who tuned in. Let's get the stream to 300 likes before we go. Again, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. or maybe 9:30. Usually 9 p.m. That's the target time I'm trying to do. We're going to be doing our weekly streams. I may add one on Sunday night eventually, but we'll see. Okay, no, for now, Tuesday, Thursday, maybe Sunday night. So yeah, be sure to tune in then. Thanks to everyone who supported tonight. Thanks to our great subscribers. It's going to be a great 4 years. So have a very great weekend. See you guys later. God bless. Good night, everybody. And peace.